It's so funny how desperate Trump is to try to get out of his crimes that he's being charged with by claiming that presidents are completely immune from any law unless impeached by Congress. Honestly, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, Trump believes that presidents can assassinate their political opponents, and it's okay if Congress hasn't impeached that person for murdering their political opponent. Trump wants to make the presidency a dictatorship. He wants to be like Putin, where you can kill your political opponents, and because you're a dictator, nobody can stop you.
The breaking news. This is out of the Supreme Court as well, this time involving Donald Trump. The former president has just filed his immunity brief in the special counsel's election interference case. Joining us now is NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley. So this is a brief ahead of the oral arguments, which happen next month.
That's right. And essentially, one of the big headline arguments here that Donald Trump is making is that it would be the end of the presidency as we know it if the court doesn't recognize these really broad, sweeping immunity claims that the president is seeking, basically trying to get rid of these.
Yeah, he's extremely desperate to not go to jail. That's why he wants to pretend that if he doesn't get full immunity, that the United States won't have a presidency anymore. That's just stupid. And Trump is just one of the. It's hilarious how he claims to be the smartest person, yet makes some of the dumbest arguments.
Charges in connection with his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election in the lead up to the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. Something else that jumped out at me just sort of doing a brief read through as we got before we got on air was that they really emphasized the importance, sort of this is ironic coming from the Trump folks, of the importance of the press and congressional oversight, saying that those are other checks on President.
That's hilarious. Yeah, definitely hilarious because Donald Trump hates the press unless they're specifically um, speaking favorably of him. The moment somebody speaks disfavorably of Trump, they're automatically fake news, and he believes that presidents should be able to sue the media.
Presidential power in this case that could be used instead of criminal charges against a president. So they're really going very broad here and saying that this case should just be dismissed all the way. Everything should just be dropped, and then making a sub argument after that, saying even if the court recognizes some sort of qualified immunity, sort of laying out the argument for how exactly the court should be, the lower court, Judge Chutkan, should be ordered to handle that when eventually, or if eventually, she gets this case back in her courtroom. Katie.
And let me just read you a little bit from the Trump.
In all honesty, no president should be immune from the law. If a president commits a crime, they should be able to be charged with said crime. This idea that the courts can't charge a sitting president is it's stupid because it just makes no sense whatsoever. They're admitting that the presidents commit crimes, but they're just unwilling to charge them because they're president at the moment. Uh, just because you got that position doesn't mean you should be protected from the law. If a president commits a crime and gets convicted, well, then we just need to have a special election and elect a new person.
Brief, a denial of criminal immunity would incapacitate every future president with de facto blackmail and extortion while in office and condemn him, could be her, but they say him, to years of post office trauma at the hands of political opponents. Also on page 29.
Oh, woo-hoo. Is Trump suffering from some stress and trauma from his crimes and being charged as a criminal? Oh, woo-hoo. Just like any other person that commits a crime and gets charged and has to deal with it.
They call it the end of the presidency as we know it. Do we know if they're going to try to, I'm sure they're going to get asked about the argument they made in the lower court about how Donald Trump could do whatever he wanted, use SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival. and couldn't be prosecuted for it unless Congress impeached and convicted him.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what Trump and his lawyer literally believes, that presidents have the power to assassinate their political opponents, and they're free to walk if Congress doesn't impeach them. How insane is that? That would mean that a president could just kill off every single person they don't like, and it's totally fine because Congress didn't impeach them. How's that not a dictatorship?
Sure, or the judges could come up with their very own hypotheticals.
Yeah.
That was a hypothetical that was floated sort of by the federal appeals court judges there, but I'm sure that's something that they could press them on. Where are the outer bounds of this? And, you know, basically the argument that Trump is making is that the only way that prosecution comes into play is if first he is convicted by the Senate, which, you know, is...
Though Trump's immunity claim is hilarious, because this means Biden could have Trump arrested or assassinated, and it's totally okay if Congress doesn't impeach him. What is Trump supposed to do against a person with complete immunity to any and all laws? I mean, I guess if Biden wanted to, Biden could just have SEAL Team 6 or whatever black bag Trump and send him to Gitmo, and that is totally okay because, according to Trump, they have that immunity.
Is a really high bar, as we saw in the
impeachment clause.
Correct,
Yeah.
the impeachment judgment clause. Right. I mean, Donald Trump went through 2 of these and did not reach that 2/3 number that you need in order to secure a conviction in the Senate, given all the support that he had from his fellow Republicans. So.
And an impeachment is not a criminal thing. It is just a congressional government thing. Just because a president doesn't get impeached doesn't mean they can't be convicted of crimes after being president. That's something Trump doesn't understand, but most of government Trump has no understanding of whatsoever. That's because he's a moron.
So, you know, this is the guy who bragged that he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it. So, I mean, this is...
Oh yeah, and when he said that, a ton of his fan base cheered for that he could murder anybody. And it's okay because his fan base is okay with that.
Sort of the same sort of claim that they're now making before the highest court.